Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Cam. I have some great news. Gift cards are now available on my website. You can get them in $10, $25, $50, or $100 denominations. They're great for friends, coworkers, or that someone special. So go to my website at www.camilleesther.com and grab yours today. Hit that notification button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope to see you guys on live. Have a great day. Bye. Hey, Terence.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Blessed and highly favored in the Lord Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints.
Oh Lord, the churchy person. So what is new? First of all, every time I talk to you, it's dark outside because we are on the 6 a.m.
I
call.
know. I know. It is. We don't talk in the daylight.
At some point, we will. Well, I mean, we did the retreat.
Now, listen, we have some daylight conversations, but
Listen,
they're not FaceTimes. They're typically phone calls.
right. And first of all, the retreat was everything. I cannot wait till we
Yes,
do another one. That
I
was so
can't
much
wait.
fun.
Yeah,
And I
well.
missed our poetic sessions.
Yeah. I miss those.
Yes, I went back and watched that clip sometimes just for a good old Kiki. I'm like,
I
oh,
need to watch it again because it was definitely entertaining.
that it was, that it was.
Food and love and singing and Shantae Moore, and it was just a lot.
You
Yeah,
know, it really did feel like a family reunion or like an
it
event,
did.
like, getting together was really cool. So,
Yeah, it was. It was.
yeah,
I look forward to the next one. I think the next one is going to be even better.
me too.
Yeah, because we have an expectation now. It got to be good.
The bar has been set.
Yeah, the bar has been
The
set.
bar
It's
has
been
been
set
set
really high.
really high. Yeah. So, with that being said, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Tonight, I have someone, he's like my brother in law, just like family. So, it's going to be a great episode. Trust me. The one and only phenomenal Terence Boyd is here.
What's
So,
up?
you
What's
may
up?
have
What's
seen
up?
Terence before from a previous clip, but I had to bring him on. I had to give him his spotlight. So, with that being said, we are welcoming family tonight. So, Terence, thank you for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And for those that are not familiar with you, kind of give, a little background about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Terence Boyd. I am the VP of the Marcola Business Academy. So we do a 6 a.m. accountability call that Camille is on. We also had a retreat that we were just speaking of. I also have a design company, Property Interiors Atlanta. I've also expanded to offer home essentials. I sing. I'm a serial entrepreneur, for the lack of a better word. Singing is one of my first passions, though. I'm from Louisiana, and I'm just about my business, trying to make that money, make it happen. Take care of my family.
Yeah. BAYOU boss.
Come on, baby.
Oh, Lord, here we go. So that means that, first of all, you're a new dad. That's super exciting.
Yes,
There can be so
yes,
much pressure and change, being a new dad. So what are
yeah.
some of the things you've experienced, being a Black father, a new Black father
Okay,
that people probably didn't tell you about?
okay. So I will say this: the one thing that I think is different for me than some fathers. I'm older, so like a lot of times we won't say how much older, but I'm older. So having a kid at older in life, it's a slightly different mindset. So I think for me, the thing that I didn't expect was the instant shift. To for lack of a better word, like the minute that he came out and the doctors like held him up in the air, it was a light switch that went off, and I will forever be changed. Like I will never be the same. And I think people always say like, having kids is, it's life changing, but they never they say that, but I guess it's hard to articulate and really put into words. But I guess the one thing that I wasn't told was that like the minute you see your kid, you will be forever changed and you will be a different person. So that's one thing. Another thing too is I have a whole new respect level for single parents. I have a whole new respect level for like women who raise their kids without a father, and they have multiple kids. One is a lot. And having to like work a job, not to mention be an entrepreneur and have like a full-time job. Like, we have full-time jobs. So, we have our full-time jobs, and then you have all your entrepreneur stuff. And now you have this life that at this stage is totally dependent on you, for everything. So it's what people don't realize about kids is it is a responsibility beyond any other responsibility you could ever have in your life. And it's nothing to play with. So I have a total brand new respect and appreciation for moms, especially single ones and single fathers, because there's single fathers too. I have respect for any single parent that's raising a kid because it is no joke.
And even like the anticipation prior to, like even throughout the delivery, like as a man, what are you going through? Like if there's a situation or a hiccup or anything like that can happen throughout even the delivery process or even post delivery, like those first few weeks, can that be like, I know for women, but like for a man, what does that feel like emotionally?
It's interesting because I think because typically women are emotional and men aren't. That's not true. We all know that, but a lot of men don't show their emotions. They don't necessarily wear them. They may feel them and internalize their emotions. So I think it's an inaccurate statement when people say men aren't emotional. Men internalize their emotions. They don't share them externally, but they're there. So but I think when you're in the situation of having a child, it's very hard to internalize your emotions, because it's a situation that you don't have any control over technically, but you're very connected to. So whatever's happening, your emotions are almost on your sleeve. So you have to try to be strong in the process. It's interesting you asked that specific question, because I don't even think we talked about this. But he was supposed to be born at the end of May. He was born at the end of April, so he was 4 weeks early. So her blood pressure was starting to get high, and they said that she was starting to have preeclampsia. So when we went to the hospital, it was about a 5-day ordeal of them trying to induce the labor. So it was very stressful. They had her on different medications to try, magnesium and different things to try to help, push the pregnancy the natural way. It wasn't happening. He wasn't really budging. And they did it so long to the point to where he started to decline. He was healthy the whole way through, but then he started to decline after so many days of them trying to induce. So then they had to take him. So in those moments, the emotions were definitely probably higher for me than it was for her, because I think what some people don't realize in those stages of the pregnancy, a lot of times the woman is medicated. She's not necessarily in her complete right frame of mind. So you're at a space where you're trying to be strong, you're trying to be comforting, but then you're also feeling all the other emotions that she's feeling, like, okay, is everything okay? Is this going to work? Is this going to go on without a hitch? Like, what's going to happen now that we have to do a cesarean? It was like an emergency C-section. So it was very stressful. It was very scary. I think that, and I think that's what made the delivery even more intense and made the connection feel even stronger. Because after you go through an ordeal where the baby's coming early, the delivery isn't happening the way it's supposed to, she's on all this medication, and then he pops up and you see him, it's a whole, it adds a whole different layer to all of the struggle. And right after the pregnancy is definitely it's like you're on adrenaline though. It's stressful, and it's a new thing, but I think the adrenaline kicks in, because for me, my biggest fear was infant stage, newborn baby.
Really?
And I always think about stuff like, they got a soft spot in their head. Like, what if I press on this soft spot? Like,
This is good, because you don't ever hear men like talk about this. It's always the woman's concern. So the
Yeah,
fact that you can hear, a male talk about these things is like, wow, like you would just never think
yeah,
they have those concerns. And this is why I like to have these conversations. And again, just to pull off these labels and stereotypes about men, particularly with Black men, because I think it's
yeah.
so important that men know, people know, the community knows, like, hey, Black men, Black fathers have the same concerns, if not more, as the
Mhm.
mom.
And sometimes some moms, I don't have this situation, but some moms don't realize that they are um smothering the baby.
Really?
Like I think they realize it, but they don't realize that sometimes it's like it's my baby. Like even though there's a daddy,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And then but then there's like an expectation for the dad to help to a certain extent, but you may not necessarily allow him to help because at this point you so it's my baby, and you want to have this bonding moment. Especially, I'll give you a prime example for us because it was a cesarean. The first the first diaper change, the first feeding, the first everything was me
Really?
because she couldn't do it.
Right.
So she was on medication. She was in the bed. We were in the hospital room together, but that first feeding and everything, it was me. They had to her everything had to wear off for her to be able to, hold him and really like spend time with him. And then she was healing for those first 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks, I was like doing everything, which was a blessing because that was my fear.
Yeah.
God is an interesting way of pushing you into something and forcing you to come to terms with it. And like that whole being for he's so small, the soft spot, how am I feeling, what I had to do all of it instantaneously. And I think I was so I was on such an adrenaline kick and I knew I had to that I wasn't afraid. Like I
But do
just
you think that instinct just kicked in? Like you just
yeah,
knew?
the innate parenting, I guess, parent child connection just kicked in. It's like he's mine. Like, you've seen him, he's mine.
Yeah, he is I mean, like copy and paste.
Yeah.
Like
So when
copy.
you look at him and you see him and then you're like, okay, he needs to be fed. Like he needs to be changed. Like even that navel, like the little ugly navel that they had when they first put the little thing on it, if you're looking horrible. Like I used to be thinking that little ugly thing. Man, when he was out clean around that, and it was nothing. So yeah. And then when we first came home, I had the first 2 weeks, I had to do a lot of the stuff. So to kind of come back to what I was saying, when she was able to really spend time with him, she was just spending time with him, holding him and holding him and holding him and holding him and kind of like almost compensate for like the time that she missed when we got a lifetime. But you know how it goes. But that's where sometimes dads are like, hey, I mean, you- I could get it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That kind of take a break. Like let me. So yeah.
So how do you feel now, like being a dad and head of the household, like the pressure? Let's kind of break that down. I think quietly a lot of men have this overwhelming pressure being the provider, and it's
Hmm.
not really talked about or discussed. It's just like we know everyone there is to help, but at the end of the
Hmm.
day, you're looked to as
Yeah.
what do we do? Can you
Yeah.
kind of unpack like quietly how men deal with that and may even slip into depression or other things that may come along with the pressure of being, a Black male as a
Yeah.
provider at home?
So I think that I'm thankful that I've gotten to a place in my life where I am successful. It was a journey though. I think I've always been successful at moving up and getting a job and providing for myself. But I think to get to a place where you're living and you're comfortable, or you're beyond comfort, like where you're good, you're not really stressing about things, it's an accomplishment I'm very proud of getting to. But once you start adding layers of family to that and being responsible for a family, it does put an added amount of stress on you, because it's one thing when a job is too tough or something isn't working for you and you can walk away and you can figure it out. Well, when you have a family, are the people that are connected to you that may rely on you to carry everything. You can't just walk away when something is uncomfortable. You can't just quit your job because it's not working the way you want it to. And I think sometimes it does create a sense of weight on your shoulders that sometimes can show up in other ways. Because sometimes stress doesn't always show up in the form of, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. It may show up in a, I'm tired, like I'm so tired, I'm tired all the time. Or it may show up in your attitude, or so I do think it is definitely a balancing act in trying to maintain the strength of being the provider. But thankfully I'm in touch with my emotions. And I feel like it's healthy to cry. It's healthy to sometimes verbalize how you're feeling. And I think one of the biggest thing with a lot of men is sometimes we may feel verbalizing our feelings is weakness, or saying, I feel like this is a lot on me right now, or I need a break, or I need to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I think that sometimes as a man, you never want to show that you're concerned or that you're nervous. You have to kind of go into, I got it. It's good. You need this. Okay, boom. I can take care of it mode. But I definitely think that counseling is important, and having an outlet. And if you don't have a counselor, which I think counselors are great, having an outlet of someone that you can have a true, transparent, honest conversation where you don't feel like you have to have any walls up is very healthy in situations where you're head of the household.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, Terrence, like in that situation, what can the partner, loved one, whomever, what can we do to make Black men feel supported in the relationship? So even if they feel that they can't talk about it, to create a space to say, hey, if you do feel overwhelmed, you can come to me, you can talk to me, or just have that safe environment to where it's like there's not anything taking away or a notch against your manhood, but what can loved ones do in a relationship to make, their Black men in their relationship feel supported, or a place where they can come to safely?
That's a really good question. And there's probably a lot of different things. It probably varies per the man. But what I would say is healthy communication off the rip is the first thing. I think if you have a partnership, a relationship, whatever it is, if with someone, I think it's important to have a line of communication where both parties feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable. And I think if you can be vulnerable with your significant other, then you're able to, even if you don't feel 100% comfortable explaining how you're feeling completely, your significant other should be able to pick up on some of it. And I think a healthy relationship is when the person that is the love of your life understands and they know you well enough to see, okay, something's going on. So in that process, they do certain things to kind of reassure you that you have support. Like, for example, if I make a statement in reference to, I had this to pay, this to pay, this to pay. And sometimes we say those things not complaining. We're just saying it because we're not thinking about it. Can you take care of this, take care of this, take care of that? And then, you come home and maybe you get took out to dinner. Or you come home and like something is provided for you. You know what I mean? And so it's because it's not always about.
So you mean like kind of shifting the atmosphere at home, maybe it's dinner or bath, or just little things like that.
Not always about you being able to, if like, for example, if I paid a mortgage, right? If I paid a whole mortgage, and that's what I do, and you pay the bills, and then I'm having a moment in a situation, I'm talking about all these other expenses I have, and I still have to pay the mortgage. It may just be you saying, hey, I know you typically get this, I got that. It may not be what I'm responsible for at home. It may be something else that I buy that I buy. I make them home. You just may have bought it already. I know you ran out of your cologne. I bought your cologne. Like, just stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's
people, Terrence.
What you say?
Up the people.
It's just simple. It's simple little things that I think sometimes we just need reminders. And it is funny that I'm saying this because I hear women say the same kind of stuff. And I don't think they always think about it in reverse. I think a lot of times, a lot of times I feel like
good.
I hear women and friends of mine, and we talking and they're expressing their feelings about certain things. And I think It's an expectation that we provide. It's an expectation that we will always be strong and always have it together. And it's almost like a rite of passage for the other, especially in a situation where it's a female and a male. It's okay for the female to not maybe be so together, or to have emotional, to feel this way, or to be upset about this, or to you want me to pay for what? I'm not paying for that. Or he needs to be able to do this, or he needs to be. I've heard girls literally not talk to somebody because they feel like he couldn't provide certain things.
Okay, so now, let's go there, because this is one of my pet peeves, and I'm glad you brought that point up, because my mindset is I want to be an asset, not a liability. I look at it as like Pippen and Jordan, like we're a partnership, we're a team. And I know, like you said, there are a lot of, can't even call them women, females, girls out there that think that way because of social media, reality TV. But for the real women out there, that's not our mentality. Like, we want to help, we want to bring something to the table. However, I think on the downside, how can I word this? Sometimes women can emasculate the man because they're so independent. And so when they meet a man or a guy that comes in that wants to be there, they don't know how to release and let go and let him take the lead.
Yes.
And so there's this tug of war between personalities. And a lot of times it's because the woman has a wall up because, you know, when she did let her wall down, guy, whomever she's with, they dropped the ball. So she had to go extra hard to pick up the slack. So now there's just like this trauma, if it makes sense, or even on the male counterpart. You know, I've met guys that have gone through things with women. And so when they do meet a good woman, there's a wall. And so now the good women have to fight through so many barriers to prove like, hey, I'm not her.
Yeah. Listen, I think that there's like, if we talk about a man, there's like, you know, a wounded man, right? The wounded man is going to project certain things onto a woman. Then there's the strong Black woman. The strong Black woman is going to almost, because she's so strong, which a lot of times is coded in insecurity, it's coded in hurt, it's coded in having to bootstrap or pull yourself up by your boots and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm not going to rely on anyone else. And I think that's a great mentality to have. But I think once you get to the point where you have created that place for yourself, where you're an independent woman, you're doing amazing, you got everything you need, companionship is something that, it doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how together you are, to find the right companionship, it's a gift. And
yeah,
it's
I think
invaluable.
it's in any relationship.
It's invaluable.
Yeah, in any relationship, I think that's a relief.
Yeah.
And for you, you know, your situation, you have somebody there that is willing to go just as hard as you. And that takes a lot of weight off. And a lot of people, they don't have that, you know. And I think it's really important.
And not to cut you off, I'm glad you said that, because I think that sometimes we may want something, so we impose what we want on the person that doesn't have it because they're in front of us. You know, we'll get in a situation or get in a relationship, and everybody does it, but women tend to do it a little more than men. Like, you get in a relationship and you may have a specific kind of man that you want, and you see someone and there may be something about them that you think is great, and you're almost upset with them, or it doesn't work out, but ultimately what you initially wanted was not in that person. So I think it takes a very mature person to kind of navigate through relationships, especially in 2021. Because I feel like when you meet someone, it's not just about, okay, are they cute? Or do they have a job? Are they independent? Sometimes it's not even about all of that.
It's the character for me, the integrity.
That's what it's about.
That's something I'm learning. And even now, sometimes it doesn't come packaged the way you think. And you have to get beyond some surface things and look at, you know, is this person trustworthy? Are they a man or woman of their word? Are they someone of integrity? Do they love God? Do they even believe in God? There's other things like let's get the what I call the resume of the person out there. So like, okay, you got a degree, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, you got that. But as far as you moving, how do you do life?
Yeah.
How do you walk that path of life? Do you do it with honesty? Do you, are you out here scheming, running game? Like that's what's important. I think that's what sustains a relationship because at the end of the day, it's just like fine can only get you so far.
Yeah.
Pretty can only get you so far.
Yeah.
You can go for women, even men too, go out here and get a BBL and he can still cheat and leave.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I think that, it's so funny because you could find the perfect person in a different package than what you expected. But if you don't unwrap it, you may not like the wrapping paper. You may not like the box it's in. But in the inside of that box, maybe the ideal person for you. But you just have to be patient enough to still take it off the shelf, even though you don't like the way it looks. Still open the box, even though you don't like wrapping paper. Still open up the lid on the box, even though you don't like what the box looks like. Because I think sometimes we have an idea of who is supposed to be for us. And sometimes the person that's for you may have all the potential in the world, but they need you. They need you to awaken the potential in them. So sometimes we're looking for somebody who's already got it all together, and you may be the connecting piece to get them together. You meet that person and you give them what they need, and then they explode and become this amazing thing. And that could have been someone that you walk right past just because they didn't initially have what you thought they should have.
Yes, which gets to my next point. As you were talking, my brain's like, it's just going off. So with that being said, have you ever seen a situation where somebody previously may have dated someone and I want to say they were down here. I'm not saying they were down here, but we're going to say they were down here.
Yeah.
And then you come along and then all of a sudden they just awaken, they elevate, they go to another level. And then people are like, well, man, he wasn't dressing like that when he was with this person, but now he's over. You can go from, PG to OG because it's all about who awakens you. And I think it's also important to connect with people that complement your purpose and your assignment and vice versa. Because you can be with someone, but are they intimidated by your gift? Are they intimidated by your anointing? Are they intimidated by your assignment or what's on you? And if they are, then that can open the door for them to sabotage things for you, or they may not be as supportive. And now you're carrying everything and now you're even more weighted or depressed because you don't have the support that you need. And there's a lot of people out there, they're in a relationship, but they're in a relationship by themselves. Yeah. And that can just really suck. But it makes a world of difference when someone is there to support you, they complement your assignment, and they also are just team you. I think that makes a world of difference.
World of difference. That right there, to me, out of everything else in a relationship, I mean, I can break it all the way down from a physical, from an attraction, from all that stuff. From that is more important than any of that other stuff. Somebody who is gonna root for you and be there for you and big up you, you'll get attracted to them physically. It'll happen.
Yes.
It'll happen because it's sometimes that person that you meet at first sight, you like, sometimes everything else is wrong. But that person that you can connect with here and here, that you can get, and I don't care what nobody else. Well, I just don't think this person is attractive, or I just don't. I see, I can understand that on first sight. But once you get to know someone, because if someone says they never felt this, they lying. But we have all met somebody that we didn't think was attractive and got to know them as a person. And not even on a romantic level, just on a friendship level, got to know them as a person and totally look at them differently.
Like person you ever met.
Yeah, 3 months in, 6 months in, if they're an amazing person and y'all have a great relationship, you start to see the beauty. You stop pinpointing the imperfections and you start to notice all of the things that you feel are perfect, all the things that you feel are unique, and imperfections start to become uniqueness. And so it's no longer a negative thing. It becomes this is so unique about her. This is so unique about him. And you start to see people's inner beauty. And I'm not trying to be all philosophical and act like looks don't matter. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is,
I mean, you gotta want somebody to touch you.
you gotta want somebody to touch you. Now, you gotta have some attraction. But I do think that there is something about someone who is team you that changes everything. And I'm gonna say this to you and any other women that's watching. Like, if you get involved with a man and he is not in support of your dreams and your visions, and if it ain't stripping and it ain't something that you shouldn't be doing,
Illegal.
and if you stripping and you making your money, bands to make you dance, make your money. That's your thing. I'm not hating on it. But what I'm saying is, if you meet a man and you are about your business and you're an entrepreneur and you're doing big things and he is not supportive of your goals and your visions, stop right there. Stop right there. I don't care how cute you think he is. I don't care what kind of connection y'all have emotionally, physically, whatever. Just stop right there, because that's not going to change. Because if someone comes into the picture not supporting you, ultimately your growth, as far as from a companion, when you connect with someone, the support and the nurturing of each other, that's what helps you grow. Because you could love someone to death and they never support anything you do. They're never at your events. They're never giving you props. They're never talking about you to their friends. Eventually, you're going to be miserable. And even if they don't treat you bad, you'll start feeling some kind of the effects of them not being supported.
But is that really love? Because if you love me, you're going to support. I'm just saying.
Some people feel like I'm not interested in that. And because I'm not interested in what you do, I shouldn't have to support you.
But if I love you, even if, I don't know, if you finger painted and that's not my thing, but if it's your thing and I know it makes you happy, then I should be there to support.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. And I'm going to be excited to watch you finger paint, because that's what you do. And I'm going to tell all my peeps, my boo finger paint.
I might not understand the paint, but I'm like, yay.
And I'm gonna find something about it to connect and relate. But I think that's the key in healthy relationships. But you got to be a mature person in love to understand it.
Right.
Because love selfishly.
Yes. We do have a question from the audience.
Okay.
I normally don't take questions from the audience, but this one is good. It's from Jana King, and she wanted to know, what if you awaken that person and it still doesn't work out?
Okay, so I do think that this is a rabbit hole I'm about to go down. But okay, so I think that there are two kind of people. There are people who are genuinely great people who have amazing potential. So you can meet that great person and see their potential, and you guys connect and have a healthy bond, and you help them grow. And then they're forever grateful, almost indebted, but it's not indebted like I owe you. It's more like I love you so much for everything that you brought out of me. But then there's those people that you meet that seem to be great because they're in the dust. They're in the dirt right now. Like they don't have anything. They're not where they're supposed to be, not where they want to be. So you're getting the sweet side of them because they haven't reached where they want to be. And then once they get there, you kind of get to see who the real person is. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it happens. So it's one of those situations for me where I feel like when you see potential in someone and there's an opportunity to possibly unlock that and nurture it, I think you have to be the better person. And whatever you do,
it's 8 o'clock.
Do it in a sense of it's coming from a genuine place from me. And I'm sowing into you, whether it's my time, whether it's my connections, whatever it is I'm doing to help you grow and unlocking whatever I'm unlocking in you, I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. And I'm putting out this good energy in the atmosphere because I feel like at the end of the day, you reap what you sow, regardless to even if it's in a relationship. If you're good and you're giving and you're doing whatever you can for this person, and then they give you their tail to kiss, once they've gotten to a certain space, they'll fall. But when they fall, you'll be at the top. And so it's one of those things where you can't even let that situation get you down, but you just have to understand that it happens. Don't give somebody all your money in the beginning, though. I think if you see somebody with potential, there's a lot of ways to help that potential grow and nurture and nourish somebody without depleting yourself financially or depleting yourself emotionally. Don't give all of you so that someone else can be great. Okay, so don't do that to make someone be great. Don't give all of yourself. So that's another key, because then you'll have regrets. You're like, I gave you all of this and all of that, and you're gonna do, because then you're angry. Keep some for yourself always.
I think it's about reciprocity. And I think over time, well, in the beginning, definitely observe and watch because there's a lot of people with potential. I mean, there's people sleeping on their mother couches with potential. That doesn't mean they're actually gonna
Yeah.
initiate. You know, you have to see like, are you talking like, oh, you want to get into graphic design, but have you taken a class? Are you studying? Like, what are you
What
doing
are you
to make
doing?
that dream a reality? You know, for example, you know, I want to be a New York Times best-selling author. I can say it, but have you written a book? Have you written a blog? What are you
Right.
doing to get to that space? And so
Right.
I think it's also about moving the needle,
Yeah.
and that is a telltale too. And in college, one of my good friends years ago told me, you know, a guy can tell you a lot of things. It's not what they say, watch what they do. And in the
Right.
beginning, they can do everything, what they call love bombing, but is it
Mhm.
consistent? Or are they just doing it in the beginning and then it
Yeah.
takes off? Like you have to observe all of that.
I mean, I totally agree. I think that like when you are in that beginning phase, even when you pass the beginning phase and you're still not like a matured relationship,
Yeah, like the honeymoon phase.
yeah, when you're still, yeah, I think like let's say you feel like you know your dude is really dope at drawing. You think he's a dope drawer and he can do little things. Don't spend $5,000 to put on and buy him all this material and let him draw and put on a show for him. What you say is, okay, so there's this drawing class that I really think you should go to. It's going to help perfect your skills because I think you're really dope. And I think that person has to show you how serious they are about what they're interested in. And if they go and they do amazing things, like it's okay to say, hey, I know you want to get this done. I can't afford to do that for you. However, you know, I'll try to help you get a loan and then you can pay it off in like 2 years or 3 years. I think there's ways when someone is really hungry after what they want and you see the potential, if they haven't really done every single thing to get them to that level, I think you still have to put some responsibility on the person. And as a nurturer, and that's woman or man, when you're a nurturer, you almost want to take on the responsibility. You want to almost do it for them, but you have to stop yourself and
Mhm.
say, you know what, I would pay for all of this for almost you have to say that to yourself, not out loud, but like I would pay for all this for you, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to figure out how I can help you to a certain extent and also put some of that responsibility on you so that when you get to the end, you can appreciate what I've done, but you can also appreciate what you've done to get where you are. And then if something go left then and I have to exit or you have to exit, at least I didn't tap out and give you all my everything. You know what I mean? At least it was a mutual thing going on. So you can walk away and I can feel like, you know what? I helped that person advance.
Yeah. No, one thing I hate is like, especially in a relationship, if it fizzles, when people want to tit for tat. Well, I did this for you. I did that for you. Well, you know, I did more for you than you did for like pulling receipts. Like I feel like if the space was mutual and it was a place of reciprocity, why are you putting out that, well, I did so much more for you than you did for me, or you know?
I think you have to give from a place of unexpectancy.
Hmm.
You have to give without expecting, you know. And honestly, that's the highest expression of love. That's the highest expression of love. If you really, really, really love someone, you'll give without expecting.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you'll receive without expectance. Like it's to me that when you get to that place with someone where you're like here, and when you give it to them, you ain't thinking about it anymore. You love that person.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're doing that in the beginning, then what was your motive for doing that for me in the first place? Because
Yeah,
if I'm doing something for you, I'm doing it just out of being genuine, not
yeah.
because later I'm gonna pull this receipt like, oh, I XYZ for you, or whatever. You know, it's like if you have to go there, then you have nothing else to pull from. So it's like last resort, you
Now
know.
I'm gonna flip it. Somebody, if from the rip you meet somebody, right? And let's say you like the person and they instantly trying to do everything for you, that's a red flag for me too.
Right?
Because what that says to me is giving is the highest expression of love. It is. But some people are damaged and they're wounded and they almost feel like what they have can dictate or create who's in their life. So like I want you, Camille. I want you in my life. So guess what? The minute we start dating, here's some bands. Here's stack. Here, because now what I'm doing is I'm almost buying you. And some people, but some people get very caught up in the, oh, he's so good to me. He buy me this, or he take me out, or he's covering everything. But then there'll become a point where that will be the person that the minute you make that person mad, or the minute something go left, they will run down a list of everything that they did for you, because they did all of that to almost ensure that you will be a certain way.
That's manipulative. That's like
you will be manipulation. Happens all the time, though. There are people that are like that with their friends. Like, they don't really have friends. What they have is people that are around them because they pay for everything. Yeah, but especially in this day, and this could be a whole nother topic, but in this day of social media, like, a lot of times what we see on that phone, on that iPhone, on that Android, what we see is not real life. And we see them popping bottles, we see them at the club, we see them in their clothes, whether they're Louis or Fooey. We see them, and we see it, and they repping certain things, and they're giving certain images of what their life is. And there are people that don't know them that may buy into that persona, that image, and now become a part of their life because of what the facade that they're showing.
Yeah. Again, for me, can't speak for everyone, but for me, let's put all that to the side, because I'm looking at you as a person. Because snap of a finger, the house can go away, the car can go away, the job can go away, the business can collapse. Who are you? Because if you're a man or woman, for those that's their preference, that is
whatever.
But of industry, you're resourceful, you're intelligent, you're creative. You can make that all over again.
Yeah.
You can do that in your sleep all over again. So that's not even my forte. I'm looking at your character, how you're walking in life. To me, that's what's important. And I think, like you said, with people buying each other with social media, with hashtag couples goals, relationship goals, for the clout for social media. But when you log off, they could be fighting like Tom and Jerry, So it's like, what is really here? Is it of substance? Which goes back to my statement previously. Can you complement my purpose? Do you complement my assignment, and vice versa? Do you have an anointing strong enough to be able to carry me or pick me up in the spirit? Not trying to be all deep, but those things are important, and vice versa. Are you someone that is insecure, jealous, possessive? Now I've been in situations where someone asked me, well, you're always interviewing guys, and don't they try to talk to you? And it's just like, no, this is my job. This is what I do. So then it's like, are you secure who you are? And if you should know me in my heart, you should know Camille ain't even that type of girl, So it's just like, again, looking at the bigger picture, getting beyond the packaging. Let's look at the content. There's a lot of amazing packages out here on the exterior.
Yeah.
Like I said before, let's take off that lid. Let's pull out that tissue paper, that bubble wrap, and let's dig down on the inside, because it could be a Cracker Jack box with a whistle at the bottom.
Yeah. Listen, that jealousy thing is real. It's real. And it's, being jealous. And it's so interesting, like, when it comes down to, like, a husband can be jealous of his wife. A wife can be jealous of a husband. It don't have to be the same sex. Like how, friends will be jealous of each other. But it could be two different sexes jealous of each other in one relationship. I think that what's most important in any relationship is to love your partner, your lover, your significant other, to love them enough that when they're successful, you feel successful. Because they're part of you.
We're a team, right?
Yeah, because you're a team. But when the person, think about it like this, when it's a division, it's division. It's not a team, because if you're really a team, we're human, so sometimes thoughts will come into our brain that may not necessarily be thoughts that we even want to entertain. But at that moment, we have the opportunity to overcome those thoughts, or to combat those thoughts with other thoughts or other energy. And so I'm not saying that no one will ever like see maybe someone, their loved one up there getting an award and be like, dang, I wish I was getting an award. So I'm not saying that thought would never happen. That's normal. But the reality is when you are actually salty about it, or when they win the award, you didn't even congratulate them.
All in
Or
the
on the
field.
way home. Yeah, on the way home, you know, you want eating, I ain't hungry. Or like you acting like snappy about little things because low key you want to be in the front. Are you still they shine? Like it's their moment, and you kind of and I've seen that happen with like especially celebrities. Like when you get to a certain level of celebrity, sometimes your significant other may bogart their way in to say something or do something. I feel like allow the person that you're with, if they're the celebrity, to pull you in, to pull you in to speak. Don't push yourself in their mic to say. And I don't like that because I feel like in that moment you're taking that person's space. The best support system is one that supports you, loves you unconditionally, and does not feel the need to brag or boast about anything they do for you. Because I feel like when it's that way, you don't have to worry about it because the person that you love, that loves you, will brag on you on their own. You won't have to say nothing, you know? So, and I wrote a song called Goals. Ironically, it'll be on my LP coming out next year. But but I wrote a song called, that was a little Camille plug. So
I'm going to be a Camille plug.
So yeah, it's about, and it's exactly about what we were just talking about. It's about goals, like hashtag goals, hashtag couple goals, and it just digs a little deeper into like how sometimes a relationship can look so amazing on photos and look so amazing on videos when in actuality it's not a relationship at all. It's chaos.
Yes, I do want to pivot a little bit as we go into this last segment. And I want to hear the male point of view on this.
Okay.
As far as willing to love again, or as a man, putting yourself in a space to be open to love again.
Okay. I think that heartache is it's something that not only does it hurt your heart, but it hurts your pride. And I think as a man, when we suffer any type of heartache or hurt through a relationship, especially if it's something that ultimately wouldn't happen to a man, so you almost embarrassed, you know what I mean? Like, well, yeah, she left me and was cheating on me with this one, or she did that, or she, you know what I mean? Like it may kind of taint your pride a little bit. So I think learning to love again it's a process because it takes you being able to show someone almost, for the lack of a better word, your imperfections, which is what make you perfect. But you have to open up and show someone like I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. But it also forces you to move slower. And sometimes that moving slow could come off like you're not interested, or it could come off like you just want to play the field, or it come off like, you know, because sometimes moving slow,
nonchalant, like you don't care.
Yeah, but it's not always that. Sometimes it's just that you have to almost pace yourself emotionally. And this is gonna sound really crazy, but some people, let's say I'm really feeling you. I may be mindful with how I move as I'm trying to process this feeling because I don't want to move too fast and get hurt again, right? There may be Susie Q down the street. Now I'm feeling her, but I ain't feeling her like I'm feeling you. So we may kick it, you know, whatever, because I'm not as, you get what I'm saying? I'm not as emotionally attached, and I don't feel there's not a vulnerability that exists in that situation. And that sounds bad. I'm not saying that's me personally, and I know that sounds bad sometimes, but sometimes that's how things happen. That's so when you be like, well, he messing with her, he doing it. Because and guys sometimes will tell a woman that and she don't get it. Like she hear it, but she don't get it because it don't make sense. Like, well, if you ain't feeling her, so you ain't giving me what I want, but you messing with her, but you ain't really feeling her. She's safe. So I think
Unpack that a little bit more, because I think the women right now are like, wait a minute. So I need you to kind of like break it down, like school bus slow.
Okay, so I want to ultimately be, I'm gonna break it down real simple. I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship with the person that I want to be in a relationship with. I want to feel a certain way. I want to be connected a certain way to this person. I've been hurt before and it didn't work out and I took it really hard. So I want it again, but now I have to be really strategic because I can't make the same mistakes or I can't just jump in the same situation. So if I meet somebody and I'm feeling that same emotion like I felt before about the first time, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I really like, okay, let me see what this is about. And I can take my time to dig into it. Now, if I am not sure that this is going to be anything that is significant or anything real yet, because I'm still not sure, and the last time didn't work out. So why would I put all my eggs right now in this basket when I haven't got far enough yet to get any specific clarity? So instead of me just Xing out the feel good stuff, like going out on a date and enjoying someone's company, because you can really enjoy someone that you're not wanting to be in love with. You may think they're cute, sexy, you may be physically attracted, you may enjoy your conversation, but that spark, that thing, that butterfly, that thing, that innate connection that you know you need with a person to have a significant relationship with is not there with that person. So you may tell that person, it's cool, we can hang out, we kick it, see where it goes. No, I don't want anything serious right now. Let's just hang out. And hang out might lead to all those other things, sex, all that stuff. And y'all having a good time. But that's not your wife. That's not your husband. That's not the person that's going to be in your life ever. And while you are still navigating through getting to know maybe someone that you feel could be significant, some people can cut off everything and be like, boom, I like you, to all of y'all. Other people will be like, you know what? Let me take my time and see how this goes. None of this is affecting me, this particular person. None of this is affecting that person because they're not going to have nothing significant with this. They know, like, you're not going to be my wife. You're not going to be my husband. You're not going to be the person that I'm going to be with, and we enjoy each other, but I haven't committed to you. So why should I stop our interaction when it's good interaction? And if this thing that I think could be significant ends up not being nothing, then I didn't damage anything because it wasn't nothing anyway, and now we still enjoying each other. So and I think sometimes, and this happens a lot, especially nowadays. Nowadays, I think people mingle. They date. Dating sometimes have a lot of layers. Because if somebody tell you, "Oh, I'm not in a relationship," I just casually date. You got to ask specific questions.
I was about to say, because date to me,
you got to
dating
ask
to somebody else could mean something totally different.
Because a friend, if you're on the phone with your friends, you could be like, "Oh yeah, I got a little date tonight." A little date tonight might mean sex. A little date tonight might not just mean go and get some food. So
I'm old school, so if we say date, to me it is food, chit chat, whatever.
I get it.
But this
generation is different.
Date means
it's different. So I definitely think that in trying to navigate through like feelings and loving again, but like I mentioned earlier on, having that solid confidant or someone that you can really speak with about your emotions, when you're able to verbalize things and say things out loud, a lot of times it forces you to address it. It forces you to kind of think about what you just said and how it impacts your life and how it impacts your actions. So I think when someone can start saying stuff like, you know what? I'm not in a relationship. I want one. Yeah, I am having sex with this one. Do I want? No, I don't really want anything. So why am I doing it? Sometimes you have to say those things almost out loud to yourself and ask yourself those questions. Okay, am I doing it because I'm lonely? Am I feeling the void? Am I trying to just pacify myself because
rebound? Is it a rebound?
Yeah, or do I just not like the way I feel when I'm by myself? So I'm just killing time until I find something real. Because even in that moment, you have to really think about the impact it's having on the person or the persons that you're killing time with. Because in that killing time phase, you need to make sure that y'all are truly on the same page. That's not how I roll. But my thing is, if two consenting adults agree to just casually date and they're not connected, that's on them if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, but those Ishmaels those imposters can be very detrimental to your future, you know, and create situations that can ripple throughout your life.
I
So
agree.
even in that, what I say is, don't make an emotional or decision, you know, that's emotional that can impact your future. Like, you know, you're connecting with this person and so much can happen out of it. Kids, disease, so many other things.
So
Just
many
because you're
things.
trying to kill time, and the person that God has for you, you could miss them because they can see you go, oh, I was going to talk to him or her, but I saw him out with her
Yeah.
at the movies, or, you know, or it can even prolong you guys getting together because, you know, when you're single, there was somebody, then you're with somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Yeah. I've said no many times.
yeah,
And sometimes I want to say yes. I want to say yes. And I
yeah,
said no many times. And I think that is, but it goes back to character. It kind of goes back to all the way what we were talking about in almost the beginning of the conversation, like a person's character, how a person feels. And also too, I wouldn't necessarily knock a person who maybe was doing that particular thing. I would try to get to the root of it and have an honest conversation about it before I just X the person out, because the root might be, I was wounded, I was lonely, I was making unhealthy choices or decisions.
yeah. I was about
Thinking
to
maybe it
say,
was
you're
okay.
making choices out of weakness and not out
Yeah.
of a place of strength. And I think it's like, for me, I think it's very important, if you come out of a relationship, take that time to unpack it, go through it, grieve the loss or whatever you got to do, and then come back and say, okay, now I'm ready to get back out there again. But some people just go from person to person to person. I'm like, well, when do you ever take the time to unpack
Yeah.
and decompress from that relationship? You know,
Have you ever dated yourself?
I'm dating myself now. I've been dating myself for a year, and
So
I'm
do
having
you
a
take
blast.
yourself out?
Yeah, I took myself to Puerto Rico for my birthday this
You
year.
did. You
I
did.
get, yes, I get facials, pedicures. I take myself out to eat. My
Listen,
sister
that's
say,
so
hmm.
important.
My sister said, hmm. My sister said, hmm. You want to eat? Yeah, let's go. You know, like whatever I want to do. If I
That's
have a
important,
fun
Camille.
night, I have my own Netflix and chill night with myself. I feel
You be like
cooking. Yeah, order food, pop on something, watch whatever. I date myself like for the last year, and I've learned so much about me during this process to just decompress, learn more about my own personal temperament, what things I like, what I don't like. And I'm at a point now that I'm done with graduate school and some things have calmed down. I'm kind of like, maybe I am ready to date again, but I'm
Yeah.
not pressed. In the
Right.
meantime, you know, life doesn't stop. You know, I still have my 9 to 5. I'm podcasting like right now. You know, other ventures going on. Like I'm, you know, reconfiguring things with my websites to build up those infrastructures. So I have things to do. I'm not just sitting around twiddling my hands. You know, the Bible says when Boaz found Ruth, she was hustling. So I'm not just
No,
sitting
for
around
real.
getting dusty. This girl is on the move.
That's what I
And
was just about to say. Camille, I
yeah,
think that like dating yourself is important. Like spending time with yourself, going to the movies, getting something to eat, like pampering yourself. Because I think what a lot of us don't do is find that time to just appreciate ourselves and spend time with ourselves and make sure that we learn how to be okay with being with oneself. Because I think sometimes we get so tied up in having someone that we don't feel complete if no one's with us, or we feel lonely if no one's with us. But once you get to the place where you're actively dating yourself and you're working in your passions and you're doing the things that mean something to you, that's when you get the right person. That's when the person that's supposed to be in your life comes in your life. And falls back on this. If the person comes in your life at that point where you dated yourself, you doing your grind, you making positive moves, and they ain't supportive of what you want to do, and you really like them, deuces. Because that's the devil. That's a defense. That's someone coming in to destroy all of the work that you've just done on yourself.
steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like the work that you're doing right now, there's someone that is making his way and you working your way towards, because you don't know where that person is going to fall from. You know where that person is going to come from. You know what I mean? That person can pop up at work. That person can be while you're working on your book. That person can be watching a podcast. Like you just don't know. So that's almost why when you are in that courting yourself phase, it's important to kind of work in your passions and do the things you want to do, because that person that's for you may be within one of those passions. You just don't see it yet, you know?
Yeah. And my thing is too, is just like, again, it goes back to what's complimentary, because
Right.
just like I want him to compliment me, I want to compliment him as well, and whatever he may have going on. And I think, again, like you said, when you're working in your lane, they're working in their lane, it's all gonna fall into place. So
Right. I agree. I
Mark
agree.
said, "Say yes to what though?"
Ain't nobody worry about Mark. So, so I no, I agree. I think and we'll talk about this after the podcast. But I'm glad that you are dating yourself. Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
I feel the sidebar coming on.
I know, right?
I love
This is
you,
good
man. Oh
though.
my gosh.
This is good. This is good. I think that conversation about this kind of stuff is necessary, and I think some people need to hear it. You know. Yeah.
Yes. I definitely want to bring you back to have more talks about life and relationships.
Yeah.
I think it's a good
Yeah.
lane, and it's very healthy. It's a very
Yeah.
healthy space, and I think it's really cool. So, and I
Yeah.
think, to hear it from a man, is very
Yeah.
appreciated. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, so your music, you can
Yes.
sing and you write. Kind of like tell us about that a little bit more.
Okay. So, speaking of music, so my IG handle at Winston Vicks.
Yes, and by the way, if you are listening to the Speaker Podcast on iHeartRadio, he is the voice of the Speaker Podcast. Terrence is the one that does my
I
intros
am
and outros. So that sultry, quiet storm voice that you guys hear,
the
here he
speaker
is.
podcast. Yes, that's me. That's me with Camille Essick. So listen, funny joke, you guys. So she asked me to do her her voiceover, and I did it. And I said, I put my little voice on the Speaker Podcast. I did my whole little thing, and I said Camille. I think I said Camille. I think I
Yeah,
said
when it was like, hey, you.
I
Yes,
said
you.
Essick. No, I think I said a sick. Oh, I said
Yeah, yeah.
Camille Essick, and she said me sounds really good. My name is Essick. S sick, like S and sick. I was like, "Oop, my bad. Let me fix it real quick." But no, I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, I gave her all kind of extra little stuff that hopefully she'll be able to use.
Yes, yes. Your voice is so sultry.
Yeah.
It's gonna be there for a long time. So
So yes, I've been singing since I was a kid, and it started off in the church, and I've decided to branch out and do some secular music, as the church people will say, some R&B, and I plan on coming out with a single at the beginning of the year, and then an LP around the summertime. I'm really excited about it. It's a lot of it's R&B, but I tried to mix some different things in it. I'm also trying to stay on the pulse of what's current and still be true to myself. And I've managed to create that sound. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, so I can't wait to come out with that and then come back on. Then we can talk about music and everything like that. And this gave me some ideas too that we'll talk about on the side.
yeah, Jeremy said,
Something foolish.
don't wait till
What do you say?
he said, don't wait till after the podcast. We want to hear the sidebar.
That's because Jeremy's nosy.
I love Jeremy. He is so funny. Oh my gosh. So we're gonna wrap it up. Before you leave, what is a takeaway or nugget that you can give the listeners and the viewers until you come back next time?
What I can say is any and everything that you want starts with you. Unpack that, dig into it, think about it however many ways you want to, but any and everything that you want starts with you and ends with you. Now think about that till I come back, and we can unpack that the next time I'm here.
Okay. That is something. What is Angela should go? Yes. So for those that would like to connect with you on social media and stay in the loop as your music comes out, where can they do that?
At Winston Vicks on Instagram, and that may be changing, but for now it's at Winston Vicks. So if you follow now, when it changes, you'll know. And right now that's the main platform that I'll be on. It'll be on Apple Music and Spotify and all those things once the music is out. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to get all the information from there.
Awesome. So everybody, thank you so much. This is Camille as the host of the Speaker Podcast. I hope you really got something from this tonight. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at camille.essick, and I am in the process of reconfiguring some things with my websites. But the Speaker Podcast has officially launched, so you can go right now to thespeakerpodcast.com and subscribe and join there. Catch up on episodes and things as such. Thank you. What? Jeremy said, I'm not being nosy. I'm here to receive the good message. So with that being said, hit those notification buttons and also follow Chemistry Room Fragrances on Instagram. So I hope you guys got something from this tonight. Thank you again, Terrence. Everyone be blessed. Good night. Bye-bye.